Hey there, everybody. This is Alex from the Forever Classic Games podcast. I just wanted to chime in and tell everybody that this was recorded at the beginning of November somewhere, and this is a discussion that I'm really proud of. I think that it went really well, and I hope that people enjoy. If you do find yourself in the mood for a 2D platformer, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a great choice. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, even though I am struggling to get through the Impossible Lair itself. Something that might show up on a future Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/foreverclassicgames. We're getting into the end of the year. There's a couple changes going on here and there with mine and Zach's personal lives. Nothing upsetting or anything. It's just some things are changing. And so as we move into 2020, we'll have some more content based on not only the website, foreverclassicgames.com, but also on the podcast, on the YouTube, on Twitch, possibly on Mixer. We don't really know where this journey's taking us. We're just kind of going and making things that we enjoy and sharing the games that we enjoy and hanging out with everybody. So I hope you all appreciate this episode because it's one of my favorites. It's a very cool conversation, and I think that it provides a lot of insight into the development and reflectionary period of Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. So thank you very much for listening. Let's hit that intro music and enjoy. Welcome to the Forever Classic Podcast, the show seeking enlightenment through video games, films, and other geek culture. I'm Alex McCumbers, and today I've got a real special treat for you. I have been kind of obsessed here recently. I've been playing a lot on the Switch. I've been playing Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, and who did I graciously get the opportunity to talk to but Gavin Price of Playtonic. So please, introduce yourself.
Hello then, I'm Gavin Price from Playtonic, and I'm glad you're enjoying the game, which is important for me. I'm the creative director here at Playtonic, so really happy you're enjoying it, and I can't wait to hear about more of your experiences with it.
It's been super fun because I'm a longtime gamer, and I'm really into things that are kind of retro inspired. And of course, I loved Banjo-Kazooie back on the N64. I haven't got to play the first Yooka-Laylee. I'm jumping into that soon on the Xbox, but for Impossible Lair, I was immediately impressed at PAX West because it was being showed there, and it's definitely that type of game that feels like it takes all the best parts of like Donkey Kong Country and then puts some very slight but super cool spins on it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we went in with the intention we really wanted to do something in 2D platforming, but we really wanted to add something new and unseen before, and different elements as to what else is out there, which aren't based on the past in the genre, really. So yeah, hopefully it comes across as a really good blend of something old and something new, and where it all meets in the middle is very enjoyable and pleasant.
So I guess that kind of leads me to my first question then, because I do have a list of questions, as well as some from like people that I work with at Marooners Rock. I've got a couple from some of my Discord folks, so we do have some extended questions for once, which is really cool for me. But I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, why make that change from 3D to 2D? Because Yooka-Laylee at first was just this 3D platformer that harkens back to all the great stuff about Banjo-Kazooie, and now you guys are going into that more 2.5D situation.
Yeah, we just really wanted to do it. It was just based off lots of chats during the development of the first game, and we kind of prototyped some 2.5D gameplay in the first game, which didn't quite get added in, and it kind of sparked a ton of interest amongst the team of what we'd do with the characters in 2.5D. And we kind of, when we thought about it more and more, we were thinking, right, what's going on in that genre right now? Where is it kind of great, and where do we feel like actually things still seem to be stuck in a rut in certain areas? And we just kept on spinning tons and tons of ideas, further discussing it, and it got us even more and more excited. And we always knew Playtonic as a studio, we want to be releasing games in lots of different multiple genres, but we're a one-team studio, so it's going to kind of happen one game at a time. And yeah, there we had it. We were like, great, we've got to make this game. There's so much passion to do it, and we think we can do something fun, unique, and and we just dived straight into it as soon as we could.
How many folks do you have working on Playtonic Games? As far as like core development, aside from your extended like PR circles and such.
Yeah. Well, we're actually a team of 27 people across all development staff, and there's only within that 27 we have one person running all of our engagement through our social channels, and we have one person, a long time childhood friend of mine, who's he hasn't got a development bone in his body, and his job title and description is operations manager. If it isn't game dev, you're doing it. And it just works. So.
That's awesome. So where did the idea, because you guys switched to, you made that pivot because obviously there's probably a lot of folks on the team that really enjoy that type of gameplay, and what would Yooka-Laylee be kind of like in that world. But what was the idea and the impetus then for the Impossible Lair, that like final level that is technically available at the start of the game?
Yeah, I think it's got a great story behind it. Anyway, believe it or not, the Impossible Lair was the answer to it was the solution to a problem. Believe it or not, we didn't say, hey, how are we going to create something exciting in 2D genre, and say, well, what if there was a level available right from the start, the very last level, and it was just incredibly difficult. It didn't come about like that. That was actually one of the later ideas on the project. The first thing we wanted to do to differentiate ourselves was create this really interesting overworld. And that was something we felt like course-based A to B platformers on the market, they all seem to be restricted to this map screen, which is do a level and then you'll see a little path extend itself forwards, and then you must do the next level. And we always, in our discussions, our design team, we sat around and we kind of all got a big nostalgia hit talking about Super Mario World back in the day, and how that seemed to embed all the levels within this sense of a cohesive world, and what you did in a 2D level could take the game in a different direction around the world, and there was elements of things that could happen on that world which would then inject new features into the 2D levels. And we thought, wow, it was great. Super Mario World did that, and then everything since then pretty much turned their back on that and just went down this plain old map route. And so we had the overworld. And we thought this is going to be great. We're going to inject lots of interesting things that you can do on the overworld. You'll be able to do stuff as you can and change levels, so levels can become altered. And likewise, you may be able to come out of a level and through a secret exit be somewhere slightly different, or a different type of 2D level like we've got with the Pagey challenges, which extend and grow the world and grow a new path forwards. And we were really excited by that. And then we just realized, hang about, the players could just walk past every single level and just try and go forwards. And what's going to make them actually want to go into a level and complete it? So the idea of, in all these other platformers where you're going along a map screen, you have to complete the level to actually build the path to move forwards. And in this game, the idea of an impossible lair spun from solving that problem for us. And by doing every level, you'd actually have a resource or a unit that helps with this grander overarching challenge. And that's how we ended up having the Impossible Lair. And bizarrely, it's the thing that we thought wasn't going to capture as much of people's imagination and attention as much as it did compared to the other unique things we're doing in the game. But if something I know from my 20 years of history is you can never predict what the reception is going to be to a game and what elements people really, really find, discover and enjoy and want to talk about most. And I'm really pleasantly surprised by how well the reaction to the Impossible Lair and the type of unique challenge it offers within the game and different ways of completing the game have gone down. Yeah, it's been a strange outcome, but one we don't mind at all.
I think that being able to use the bees as a resource where you take an extra hit for every bee you have, that is brilliant, because a lot of these platformers end up as just a currency to unlock another level. So what you guys have done have turned it into a mechanic, and then because the Impossible Lair is so daunting, long, and challenging, like it ends up being an incentive. The first time I went through it, I had 20-some bees, because I was like, well, I'm pretty good at this game. I'll probably be able to do it, and I haven't come close, and so I've just been farming bees and still not getting that close. So it's been really cool.
Excellent. And as a level, it has to take on its own it has to kind of break the design and the flows of what you normally find in 2D platformers. Every other level in the game, we hope, feels like it has a really nice flow to it, and you can feel like you're getting better at those levels. Whereas the Impossible Lair was purposefully designed to be as disruptive to a flow and unpredictable and challenging, so you couldn't just keep playing it and keep playing it like you can the most difficult levels in other 2D platformers and just get good at it. It's the whole crux of the game is that no, if you want to beat this game, the sensible thing to do is go and rescue all those other bees and all those other hopefully wonderful levels, and we kind of naturally encourage you to enjoy all the content in the game. And if you want to opt into that final challenge of mastery, it's there for you. And if you don't, hopefully there's been 40 other levels of lots of fun and joy to be had anyway.
One of the areas that I think you guys really achieved too, and it's something that I don't get to talk about often, is swimming in the Impossible Lair. All the water levels are super enjoyable. How did that design process kind of come about?
Over lots of blood, sweat and tears for the programmers and the designers, asking for lots of variables to be exposed and tweaked, and controls, whether it's swimming, core moves, the kind of combo and special extra moves going on in the game that we hid in there. There's no way beyond it these days. There's no mic drop moment. Someone says, hey, it's like this, just program it, and it happens. It's always this long, arduous, iterative process, and it's one in a 2D platform you absolutely can't ignore. You can't try and sweep it under the carpet or hide from it. It's the first thing to tackle head on and say the controls for this game have got to be absolutely spot on. But 2D platforming is all about perfection and accuracy, and it's kind of nice that the characters animate and have certain features in a way that really helps sell the sense of the movement in the water as well. And it's almost like we haven't, but it's almost like 4 years ago we couldn't have thought ahead better and said, hey, what kind of creatures do we want, and just in case we do swimming gameplay in future. I think they work really well for that.
The other area that you mentioned is the exploration in the overworld, and I sat down I think for at least a couple hours just exploring, finding tonics, unlocking different routes. Especially there's a certain point where the game really opens up in the overworld. You can kind of go wherever you want. So that aspect I think is really engaging as well, because it ends up being like a very light sort of Zelda experience.
Yeah, it's that 2 games in 1 experience. I mean, I'm a huge fan of what I call hybrid games, and I love how I've played many games in past growing up, as a kid, and they always stuck in the memory. And if you think of two styles of game to put together, like something Zelda-like and something Super Mario / Donkey Kong-like together, it's almost like in everyone's gamer's imagination, that's like, wow, that's got to turn out great if we can even get it half as right as what those other games do. And it just gives us so much possibilities to do something in the genre completely new to 2D platformers, and also build on the core values that Yooka-Laylee stand for from their first game. They are known as adventurers with puzzles to solve, quests to go on, characters to meet, and we wanted to retain an element of that from the first game. It's part of the brand and the identity for the IP. The characters will meet lots of very strange looking NPCs, and what can be an NPC, we always try and like to push the boundary, and what can we stick some eyes on this time around and record a silly voice for almost. But having those 2 different genres play off each other, again, it was just something that straight away the entire team was really excited about the prospect of doing it and treading new ground. But it also made sense for us as a studio and a game, and what the characters are all about.
And there's a lot of different mechanics that I could sit and gush about, and that's something that I'll likely do in some sort of product at some point. But another area that I've really been enjoying is the music in Impossible Lair. Is super charming. I love when you finish a level and you get those little high-pitched kazoos. What are some of the thoughts about like bringing all the different composers and stuff together to make this? And were there any like fun stories to come out of that part of the process?
Oh, I'll try and there always is. And so we are genuinely blessed as a studio with our composer talent. So, the studio, when it was founded, we had no in-house composers. So the first game relied on external composers only. But, we've got such great friends in the industry from having worked for over 20 years in our past with composers like Grant Kirkhope and David Wise. And when we started building our in-house audio team, it was such a cool thing for those guys to actually get to work with. And I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they've said this they couldn't believe they were working with their heroes, the people who they've grown up playing their games. And Dave Wise, he lives close by to the studio, and he was dropping in all the time. He wasn't just writing his own tunes and that was it. He was coming in and he was getting really hands-on and teaching our in-house composers, Matt and Dan, how to write in his style and how his process goes and how he does that. And so we just had amazing songs all the time, being produced, trialed, looked at next to levels, and we had the bandwidth to put in a lot more effort in and around the entire game, around those like key moments, like rescuing a bee right at the end and having something very tonally change and a little flourish in the audio, or the pagey power sequences coming in and you get all of a sudden 80s kind of action movie tones coming through. Yeah, it was one area where, the first game, we were very well known for having a lovely soundtrack, but we wanted to just keep going and push on and go up a level for this game. And yeah, I can't believe how much variety and quality, retaining the quality across over 50 songs in the game for a small indie studio. Yeah, for a small indie studio, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and I can't wait to work with the external composers again, and I'll keep whipping those internal composers too. I won't let them rest on their laurels. They're loving the reaction to the game, completely loving it, especially when everyone gushes over the audio. But I'm telling them, right, that's it. You've given yourselves a quality bar to meet every time now. So
yeah, the bar is real high.
Yeah.
The other thing I really like about the sound design, and this is just a subtle detail that I pointed out to my wife, because she plays some games, but she doesn't play nearly as much as I do. And so there's this great little moment when Yuka picks up an item in the mouth, and like from that point on, all the jump sound effects are muffled, and I love that. I think it's just the cutest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting to do all that stuff. It's what adds that extra level of, you can feel a little bit more polish and love coming through from the devs for everything when you get touches like that occurring.
Yeah.
And if you're creating a game, I think there's something in this latest game that everyone can look back to and say, I really like that we just went the extra mile in this respect, or did this extra thing too.
It's definitely apparent that there's a lot of passion behind this project, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we do. We have we're very lucky. We've got great team of a mixture of old, experienced, formerly Rare veteran developers that have worked in a ton of different genres, and we've got this really passionate, engaged talent of the future, a real good mix. And we learn a lot of those guys as well. And yeah, between us all, it's just, I couldn't ask for a better team of people who just really want to make fantastic content that puts smiles on people and gets the kind of reception we have been doing with this with the Impossible Lair. It's great, and it's going to be this awesome cycle. It's only going to feed and grow our hunger for doing that again and again and again in future.
Yeah, there's such a legacy behind some of the veterans you guys have in your team. I mean, Rare defined a whole generation, and most of their titles stand out as some of the best. So that has to create a lot of pressure, though. But it seems like a lot of that talent and those lessons are being passed to the new folks.
Yeah, it is. And, when back then it was the whole industry was very different back then, and it was incredible how one company seemed to just be able to turn its hand to any genre and do something not only just unique but also pretty much best in class. And it's kind of what we're looking to replicate here at Playtonic, but all under one universe of IP. So if we do something in a different genre in future, it'll still exist within the same universe. You might come across some recurring characters, casts, etc. And for us, trying to remember, because we're old, trying to remember a lot of what we did back then. Sometimes we really rely on the younger people in the studio who can remember as gamers. I think you remember more as a gamer of what you've played than you do as a dev sometimes. And they're saying to us, "Oh no, you guys, you're remembering that wrong. It did this or it did that." And we're like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah. Come on, let's go fire up one of the old systems and play it." And we're like, "Oh yeah, oh I remember that, yeah." So it's a great environment to have. And also the younger people, we might need to harvest them for organs and blood in future. Yeah. So it's great to keep them around close to hand.
I'm waiting for cybernetic enhancements. Like I've got some teeth missing that had to be pulled recently. I'm like, eventually they'll be able to make some with Wi-Fi chips. I'll be fine.
Yeah, sign me up for some of that.
Are there any secrets or hidden references that players have kind of yet to find, or things that you guys are just really excited to have in Impossible Lair?
There probably is. I mean, I'm one of the most antisocial people still on the planet. I try and avoid social media all the time. But yeah, we kind of see certain things getting picked up and certain hints, and we don't like to try and confirm things one way or another. We try and leave some of it open to interpretation. And then there's just some blatantly terrible iconography hidden in the game masquerading as something else or on the front cover of the game, and you think, oh my goodness, is that really what I think it is? And the artist like, yeah, let's just put the game logo over it and it'll kind of hide it a little bit. So that's a hint for you.
Oh, that's funny. All right, I'm gonna have to go stare at the box art after this is over with. Were there any, like, really standout moments in development, launch, post-launch, like either a big achievement or, like, some sort of funny circumstance or something like that?
Oh, there must have been. I'm the worst person to come and answer these types of questions. My mind, my memory is terrible, and I'm the person at the studio tasked with, as soon as everyone else is kind of in a finishing state for what's currently on the go, I'm already in future look out head mode and what's happening. So standout moments. There's been some awesome bugs that we noticed in the game going on, some really weird, horrible, freakish geometry occurrences that happen. And there's a ton of stuff, believe me, when we talk about some of the mechanics that could have gone on the overworld, and there's a lot still left on the cutting floor. And we're thinking, wow, this is great. There's all this stuff which we just couldn't do. Because if you want to, do sequels in the future in this genre, it straight away gives us some great ideas to talk about. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm a real letdown on this question.
No, you're good.
I know there's moments where we've looked at stuff and the whole studio has just laughed out loud and like, I can't believe that's happened. But yeah, I'll have to try and follow up on that one.
So that actually plays into one of the questions that were asked generally in the Discord. And that's like, well, what is next for Playtonic, I guess? Like another smaller project, maybe some expansion content for Impossible Lair?
Yeah, that's all to be revealed, I'll literally have my secret explosive impact chip blow up if I try and answer that question right now. It'll just go off. But no, we're really excited about the potential of this game, the potential of what we can do with the characters in other genres as well. And we're always learning about how to talk about what we do in a more better and productive way as well, and to create future maximum impact. So yeah, keep an eye on us. There's something I'd say very unexpected to come, as well as something maybe that fans are always asking for. And don't worry, we're listening, and we're so aligned with what people are asking for in terms of what we also want to do. It's just sadly we can't clone ourselves and get 10 things done at once. It's a bit more step by step.
Right on. So I do have some comments from some of the extended community members. Frank, one of the guys that works for us on Marooners Rock, he hangs out in my Discord. He just wanted to thank you all. He says, I just started the first Yooka-Laylee last night. Tell him and the team that I really enjoy the fact that they brought the spirit of Banjo-Kazooie back.
Oh, thank you. He's welcome. There's so much love for that game. I think people who backed us on Kickstarter, that was the focus for us, was, for better or for worse, we really wanted to make sure we were true to our promise of delivering that type of experience.
Another question that I have here comes from Joseph, also on the Marooners Rock team, who has also been a guest on the podcast once or twice. He asks, how do you think platformers fit into the landscape of gaming currently, where shooters and action games are super prominent?
Yeah, I think platformers always give you this nice sense of, no matter what you're doing, if you also have a platform game on the go, you can almost de-stress and go to a platform and just know what you're in for and feel like, yeah, I can play this, I can enjoy this. And you may want to go back to a shooter at some point or something really tense and adrenaline fueled, but platformers, there's just something about them which they're one of the earliest genres that got defined early on in gaming, and everyone's got some sort of moment in their history, I think, where you can go, I really, really cherish that memory as a gamer. It's particularly if you maybe when you were younger. And they're just so inclusive. Anyone can pick up and start an attempt in a platform. We specifically try to use as few buttons on the controller as possible, in contrast to the first game for Impossible Lair, so that anyone feels like they can have a go. And if you really, really want to try mastering and speedrunning the game, or doing something really hardcore and showing off, hopefully there's that level of depth to go and discover at your own pace. And I just don't think there's enough kind of like 2D course, what we call course-based platformers where essentially you're getting from A to B, like a Rayman, a Super Mario, or a Donkey Kong. They all seem to either be on Nintendo's platform or very infrequently appearing on the other platforms. And for us, being pretty much a Donkey Kong style game, but it doesn't matter what platform you own, we're a multi-platform company. Hopefully we're doing our bit as developers to help spread the 2D platforming love wider. There seems to be quite a few Metroidvanias. There's always Metroidvanias year in, year out to go play, and kind of story-based, Inside, Limbo, Little Nightmares style games. But these action-packed kind of acrobatic 2D course-based platformers, I don't think there's enough of them out there, and I absolutely love them as a gamer. I think you can do secrets within, you can do exploration, you can do collecting, and you can really change certain levels and make them feel like survival horror when you have some sort of like auto-scrolling level and you're just having to go at somebody else's pace all of a sudden. Yeah, I absolutely love the genre. Long may it live and prosper.
Well, I think y'all have definitely made strides in just the overall design with all the little spins that you've been doing, and then I think this one will stand the test of time. I honestly believe that Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair will be talked about for many years to come.
Oh, I hope so. I'd love to revisit the, the genre and even push the ideas even further, because I think it's true of most developers. Every game that ever gets released is actually a compromise of what could have been, and you just hope that your compromise of what could have been is fantastic. So when you can build on that and improve on that in future, you can do something even better and really take your fans on that journey with you. So yeah, I'm really pleased, really glad that this game's going down so well, and really excited for what we could do with it in the future, given the chance.
Excellent. Well, I of course wish you guys the best of luck. Again, I have thoroughly enjoyed this title, and I'm excited to see what maybe I missed out on the first Yooka-Laylee. I'll be playing it on the Xbox through Game Pass. Man, that Game Pass is good stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, Gavin, for being on the show. I really enjoy these types of like deep dives with developers, and having you all has got such there's such a legacy there that's being built at Playtonic, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks. We really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about this stuff. It's my favorite topic, video games. I can talk about them all day long. It's lovely to just to discuss and kind of provide insights into what we've been doing. We have quite a few of us here. We when we started at Rare, we were very much known as the secret company, and it's talking about what we do and it's really new to us. We've never really done this in our past, but I'm really enjoying it, and we really enjoyed the support that people such as yourselves give us, and an opportunity to help us spread our message. It's great. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. So as always, if you want to stay connected to the Forever Classic Games podcast, send us an email at theforeverclassicpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find our Discord. There's going to be lots of things in the show notes, as well as links to Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, probably on Steam, Switch, whatever links I can find. And is there any other place that you guys would like me to direct people?
Anywhere that sells the game.
Which is just about everywhere, thankfully.
The shilling me says, hey, go buy it. Buy a copy for yourself, and it's a great Christmas and Thanksgiving's coming up. It's I think it's a great price point. You get a lot of game for the money, so go spread that 2D platforming love. Thank you.
We've got some younger cousins that's probably going to get that for Christmas this year. Thank you so much, Gavin.
Thank you. No, cheers. Really appreciate it. Thanks.